Are in effect a NASA liaison to this area, or to who exactly? I mean, who are you?
To the state of Colorado.
To the state, okay.
I am working directly with the Colorado Association for Manufacturing Technology, CAMT.
Okay.
In fact, Tom Bugnitz, who was on the panel today sitting to my right, he's the new CEO. And what I've been doing thus far since March is meeting with their clients that they currently have built a relationship within the last 15 years, and then asking them, what technologies are you currently creating or you're developing that you would either want to augment based on technologies that we have to offer, or they look at technologies we have to offer and they want to create a whole new product line. So that's how we go in, advertising that we have technologies available to license, but there's other opportunities where if they want to just utilize our lab or lean on our researchers for expertise, that's another way to create a Space Act agreement. You may have heard today, were you in the audience today? So Space Act agreement is our kind of claim to fame, our measuring stick. And it's basically a memorandum of agreement where you have a statement of work, you have what NASA's going to do, what the company's going to do, and then what the end result that we're hoping to create, whether it's a product or understanding additional information on that development. So in essence, I'm a technology matchmaker. My title is called Technology Transfer Advisor, and I'll be here through March of next year, and then I'll pass the baton to the next person acting in that role for the duration of the 5-year contract, which was signed in December of 2010.
And that contract was signed between NASA and CAMT?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And I understand from your remarks that you've talked to around 60 companies so far. So that's statewide, that's not just here in northern Colorado.
Exactly, statewide.
Mm-hmm. What's been some of the range of companies that you've spoken to?
In the technology disciplines,
in the disciplines.
Battery, storage, certainly wind turbine, since that's an emphasis here in Colorado, aerospace,
yes,
information technology. I've even met with someone who does tissue bank donor. We've been looking for technologies that would assist them in with their tools. So it spans across the board. There's not any one area. I mean, at first we were looking at aerospace and clean energy, but again, it's much more than that. It's any small or mid-sized manufacturer that's been a client, like I said, of CEMT. That's what I've been meeting with.
And it could perhaps make use of NASA technology.
Yes.
Okay.
So how I begin my search is I hear their specifics or technology issues or obstacles, and then I do a search that I have access to by going into certain databases, as well as now there's a public-facing site that was launched June 20th of this year. And what the luxury of this database is that these companies can go in there, click on licenses available, and they're looking at active licenses that they can pursue. There's a person listed at the bottom of the abstract, so it kind of whets their appetite and makes sure that's something in line with what they're looking for. And then it has the contact information, including phone number and email. And that website is technology.nasa.gov.
Okay. Technology.nasa.gov.
Correct.
Okay. How much is Loveland considered a NASA tech transfer pilot project for NASA?
Well, Loveland is part of the state of Colorado,
Okay.
so there have been clients that are even in this area. I've been as far, my geography of Colorado, I'm still learning that, but I've gone from Fort Collins to La Junta. I've been to Pueblo. I've been pretty much all over the place in about an hour and a half to 2 hour span.
Okay.
From Denver.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked that is that this facility here for some time was considered to be the ACE campus and had a strong, it appeared that it was going to have a strong NASA connection, and that was through CMT. CMT subsequently did decide to go somewhere else, look somewhere else for an ACE campus. But that initial establishment of the NASA connection was made in those days. And so I just wondered if this was being still looked at, Loveland specifically, as some kind of a pilot project by NASA.
Well, NASA wasn't part of that potential deal that CEMT had with this park that they were going to refer to as ACE. Yeah, instead, I mean, my role right now is the Technology Transfer Advisor, and that Space Act Agreement defines my role in assisting CEMT in finding technologies that would help them accelerate their technology development that they're currently working on or want to create, like I said, in a whole new product line. So NASA directly didn't have any involvement with that arrangement that you just referred to.
Yeah, I think there's been some confusion about that. I'm going to try to clarify that in my story.
That would be great.
Yeah. You mentioned in your remarks that you had maybe a license that was coming together. You can't say much more about that?
No, well, it's funny because when we were driving over here, I was sitting next to Diana Hoyt. She's basically my boss. She's my headquarters sponsor, and I said, hey, I just want to let you know, Kennedy Space Center just came up with a new research license. It takes only 2 weeks to turn around, and she talked about it. I was like, well, I don't have nothing more to say. She said everything. She told my role, so why am I here now? But the luxury of this research license is it takes such a short turnaround because there's nothing to negotiate as far as funds or use of researchers' time. They're basically just adopting that technology and utilizing it to, behind the scenes, so to speak, for 6 months to a year. That's the examples I have so far that Kennedy's explored with certain companies. And what the end result is we're hoping that after they have an opportunity to utilize and play with this technology, they realize this is something they want to commercially invest in by creating a true license agreement with NASA, which is a whole another process.
That is a new move on NASA's part to have these licenses that people can, takes 2 weeks to get them, and they have up to 6 months to play with the technology.
6 months to a year is the example we have so far.
Yeah.
Now the one thing they keep stressing is they can't keep calling the researcher and asking a lot of questions and utilizing a lot of time with the researcher. I mean, they can ask certain questions just to say, hey, we have this now and we want to know why is this like this. We thought it was going to be more like whatever the questions are. They can certainly have some minimal discussions, but it can't be a huge amount of time or leaning on that researcher for additional questions. In fact, there's a company here in Colorado that I just met with, and they're doing a research license, and I met with them just to make sure they felt comfortable with what they needed to fill out, and they said, yeah, we feel we're good, but if we have any questions, we'll let you know. So we're counting that as a win for CEMT because it's connected back to KSC's technology.
One last question. I think I know the answer already, but why is NASA, NASA seems to be really reaching out these days to try to transfer its research into the marketplace? Is that because the administration really wants to put a strong emphasis on that now?
They really do, and I think there's that mystique, I think, has subsided a little bit with the shuttle program going away, where people are saying, so what are we really doing now? What is NASA? What's in it for me? How do I benefit? And I think where we can show where the Joe Public benefits is that we take top technologies that were developed years ago that are still ahead of its time, and that we transfer them out and get the word out and make them familiar with what's sitting on our shelves so they can make use of these technologies and have more spin-offs. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term before, but I know during one of the Olympic Games, this is going back to '96, so this is a long time ago, but I created a bunch of posters that said, from space to spin-offs. And there was people that walked by and said, I would be so much more involved with the proactive or the proponent of the space program if I had known they had a hand in this, but if the people don't know, they don't know. So getting the word out is really important. So, and seeing that these technologies are attributed to the space program and attributed to NASA, because sometimes they will reference the space program, but people don't immediately make a connection to NASA.